everyone. I'm Angela Kirky. I'm your Director of Education at PPA. And today's segment of In It Together, we actually have 3 guests. I get to introduce you today to Carl Kaler, Michael Mowbray, and Dan Freebolt. You guys, thanks so much for joining me.
Happy to be here.
I appreciate you guys, all of you, for coming on and chatting a little bit today. So I'm going to actually just toss the ball. I'm going to start with Michael. We're talking in these segments a little bit about just what's happening in the world, right? And where you guys are in your businesses and some of the things that you're doing. We won't call it downtime because it's not downtime. It's just how are we functioning right now? You know, we're in our 8th month, right? 7th, going into our 8th month of this, and just want to see where you guys are in your businesses and your creativity and your life and how you're handling things. It's a big question. I'm sorry. I just threw a whole bunch of things at you.
Well, how much time do we have? No, this has been the year of the pivot. So fortunately for me, I've got a lot of irons in the fire. So I'm still a photographer, but I'm not doing photography full time. I've backed off a little bit because I started a business 5 years ago called MoLight that sells Godox lighting equipment and my own proprietary line of soft boxes and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that was interesting with COVID shutdown, obviously we couldn't photograph here in Wisconsin for what, month, 6 week, guys, something like that. We're in total shutdown. But interesting thing is that people still went on the internet and bought flashes. So I was actually fairly busy throughout the early part of COVID selling things and shipping things. So that kept me busy. And it also gave me a little bit of time to, as we were talking off air before we got on here, redo my website that I've been meaning to do for about 5 years. And so I relaunched my core photography website and really happy with that. I want to give a shout out to PhotoBiz. They're not sponsoring this. It's just that I looked around and had recommendations from a lot of different people, and that was the best vendor I found, and it was super easy. I've got a little bit of a web background, but that was a lot of super easiness to get that done.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They are.
Yeah. But other than that, of late I've been really busy with photography. A lot of headshots, a lot of seniors, a little bit of commercial. I was just looking at next week, and I thought next week was going to be fairly open, and I've got 3 days booked already. So knock on wood. That's going to keep going.
That's fantastic. Now you guys are you close to each other? You're located sort of close to each other? How far away?
I'm 2 hours from Dan, and Dan's 2 hours from Carl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing the beginning of a math problem here.
Yeah, if you do the math, I'm 4 hours from Matthew.
If you took our locations and drew a triangle, it'd be the cheese triangle, the cheese wedge. You know,
cheese wedge.
It is Wisconsin after all.
Exactly.
You guys told me,
Wisconsin
you promised me there'd be no math.
That's right.
We
have to drink.
Which is probably our next topic.
Yes,
exactly.
I love it. Carl, you're up. What's going on? What's going on in Wisconsin?
Oh, I'm not in Wisconsin. Actually, I'm in Michigan, but
that's right.
I'm only a mile from Wisconsin. It's
the same thing.
It's
upper
the same
Michigan.
thing. The upper peninsula. Yeah, I can see Wisconsin from my house. It's true, absolutely true. But yeah, we were actually both lucky and unlucky with this whole COVID situation, in that we're very lucky because we're remote. And it's a healthy place to be, a safe place to be. As far as COVID, we've had very very few cases. I think we're up to maybe a dozen now since the beginning, somewhere in there. And but the problem is we are still technically Michigan. And so we are under the regulation of our Governor Whitmer and what is going on down in Detroit and Ann Arbor and some of the bigger metropolitan areas, which is extremely strict as far as the rest of the country is concerned. So we were shut down actually much longer than Wisconsin, and we're still under regulations, a lot of regulations. So it's been challenging, to say the least. And not gonna lie, our business is way down from what we've seen in the past. And just like everything else that has gone on major in the world in the last decade or so, or a little over a decade, when things happen and people lose jobs, it seems that our area is really good at people picking up a camera and becoming photographers. And that's great. Everybody, we were hobbyists first, and then we transitioned into the professional world. But the issue here is that given our population and the amount of potential of clientele, everybody here in the clientele world, in the clientele pie, knows somebody or has a friend that's a photographer right now. So it's become more of a challenge, more of a issue than it has been in the past. But one step forward every day, and you just do what you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back to that. We'll talk a little bit more maybe about competing in this world right now, because I feel like it's different in different areas of the country. But yeah, let's go over to Dan real quick, just so he can introduce himself and tell us all about that fancy outfit he's got on.
It's colorful.
Well, this I just have this old thing, Yeah, so I'm Dan Freevault. I'm wearing my Team USA jacket today because we just found out this week that Team USA took second. So way to go.
In the World Photographic Cup.
World Photographic Cup,
yes. Yeah, out of 37 countries. Yeah. So second's, pretty fantastic.
I think it's awesome. I'm
very fantastic.
I'm just honored to have an image picked to be on the team. So to me, that was a goal and a highlight. So that was awesome, and to be at Imaging and to be up on stage and do that. And the photo's funny because I'm like, there's like two of us that are like not looking at the camera.
Oh, you're that guy.
I'm that guy. Yeah.
One of the two.
I had one job to do. So I photoshopped my face like straight, a different image, which was funny. But yeah, I mean, it's a great honor to be a part of that. And just also seeing the great images. I mean, they're so inspiring and amazing. These other photographers from around the world. And so, yeah, I thought I would, throw the jacket on today for this, as well as, different things, proud PPA member. So thanks. Yeah.
So how's everything in your world?
I mean, I haven't done anything since COVID. I just been on vacation. I figured, what the heck? No, actually I don't want to say, so I'll explain it this way. So I primarily photograph high school seniors, and I'm in Wisconsin. So the high school senior season is in the summer, June, July, August, September. Kids go back to school, so we have to cram everything in. And if you're a Wisconsin photographer, like when I used to do weddings as well, it's like everyone gets married in the summer. Everyone has senior pictures. Everybody wants family stuff. Like everything is packed into the summer. Mm-hmm. And so you work your tail off in the summer, and then winter hits and everyone hibernates, and you sit around like, oh, now what do I do? Hopefully I made enough money in the summer to survive the winters. So after doing this for so many years, I began to do other things with, teaching in the winter and conventions and things like that. And then so I launched a membership this year, and I created all summer long. I also created content, because then when I had time to create content, well, it was crummy outside. So I was filming sessions and creating content all summer long, so that when winter came, I'm like, oh, I'll have things to edit and put into the membership. So I thought that was genius. Unfortunately, I didn't realize it would be such a slow time or such a shutdown. So don't blame the COVID on me for thinking ahead, but I actually had plenty to do this year, and a lot of work and a lot of creative things to work on. I did also update my website. No, I didn't update my website. I take that back. I paid PhotoBiz to do the SEO because I wanted good SEO juice. I did update a few things, but I update it every year anyways. So it's little changes every year, so it's not such a big change every year. So yeah, I was part of that as well. But I had plenty to do. I still have plenty to do. My season started out really strong because seniors were excited to get pictures done. So once once the ban lifted and stuff, we could start shooting around June. Kids are normally still in school or they're kind of going on vacation. So June is sometimes a little bit hard to fill. But this year it worked out great because they weren't in school and they wanted to do something. So I was booking a lot, but I didn't want to book too many at once, wanted to kind of spread things out and be safe that way. And then there was a little bit of a lull as people started doing other things and things started to open up more. And then it kind of picked up again. And now it's like kind of last minute, people are coming in as well. And with so many schools being virtual and unfortunate, a lot of sports being pushed to spring, it's actually helping scheduling wise because it gets dark pretty early now, so I can get them in. We don't have to worry about them getting out of school and going into sports, which normally the guys are the guys that are slacking and dragging their feet. And now it's like I just did a call like half an hour before we got on here, and it's like, yep, he's a boy, he's in soccer. Okay, there's not really practice. We can get him in at 2 p.m. if we need to. It's not a big deal because it's virtual school. So, taking advantage or looking at the positive of this as much as I can has been helping me through everything. So
absolutely. One of the things that's kind of interesting about our world is that we're artists and we're entrepreneurs, and we really have to kind of marry both sides of ourselves, And so how do you guys, and whoever raises their hand, however you guys want to do this, like, how do you stay motivated, like as a creative, as you're also maybe, dealing with the entrepreneurial stress of your business? What does that look like for you, Carl?
Well, I think
nobody's jumping up.
Your guys are like, he'll do it.
Yeah, go that way. I think one drives the other for me. I mean, if it were up to me, I would have somebody that did all the business stuff, and I would just take pretty pictures and work on the computer with them and not deal with anything else. But that's not the case. I mean, as a sole proprietor, you do everything, and we've talked about this before. But to me, personally, one thing, the goal of creating something that was created in my mind, something that I had a vision of, and made that come to fruition, and then sell it. To me, that they go kind of hand in hand. One drives the other. Then there's all the paperwork and everything else, that the business stuff that I just don't care for, but it's part of it. We just have to do it. And so that's where I'm at. I love working with people and getting them what they want and more, but it has to sell. We have to make something. We need the return on the investment for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, were you going to jump in?
Sure. What's difficult for me is what really motivates me, and it's a bad thing, is tension. And that's where I get creative, and that's where I get stuff done. So really short deadlines, really almost insurmountable projects in short deadlines. Those are the kind of things that really get me flowing and really get me engaged and get the brain working and really get me to knuckle down and get things done. The problem is that there's tension tied to that and deadlines tied to that. And one of the problems I've found with COVID, especially with all the shutdown, is all of a sudden, there really isn't anything that needs to be done today. So
that's a great point.
So what am I going to do? So I just kind of, I got some things done early on, but kind of slacked through the day. And then really, and this is kind of going to be a segue for some of the rest of the conversation, is really put a lot of energy into launching our podcast, which is something that we had talked about doing in February as a group. And we launched it in March, because what better time to launch a podcast than a time when you're stuck at home and you have nothing else to do. So I put a lot of energy into that to get that thing going, and that has really been a lot of fun.
I love it. Well, that is a perfect segue. So let's talk a little bit about your podcast, because I think, it's interesting. We watched the views on all of our education and everything that, all of our PPAs, social media, everything went up. Everything just skyrocketed because everybody was home during the day, right? And they had time to be learning and being inspired. And I value things like what you guys are doing because it's photographers helping photographers, which is really what this community is all about. So I love and appreciate that. So tell me more about your podcast.
The podcast is called Photo Happy Hour. And the concept is, this is basically one of the things we do at the intro of the podcast is the concept of the podcast is we are 3 professional photographers who have been around for a while and we know a thing or two. And what we found is the more we drink, the more we know. So we actually get together like this, video chat, and we drink and we have a topic typically. And sometimes we stay on topic and sometimes we go way off on tangents, but whatever we do, it's usually, I'd say almost always really, really good information because we've all been there, done that, got the t-shirt, sold the t-shirt, bought some more t-shirts, turned it into a jacket, whatever. So we give really good information along the way, but we are, I think we're funny. I think we're at least mildly entertaining. We crack ourselves up, so I think that's all that really matters.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
It keeps sanity, that's for sure.
Yes.
It does keep sanity. And one thing I learned from doing the podcast is the amount of movies and like references that I make, I guess. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's how I kind of keep my sanity is just, entertainment through movies and Netflix series and entertainment that way. It's a way for me to disconnect. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm usually pretty even keel kind of person. Like, nothing really gets me down, but COVID has been like up, down, and every minute, every day it can shift instantly. So,
I appreciate you saying that because I feel like a lot of people feel like that, but it's hard to talk about because you're trying so hard to maintain, right? And I mean, there are hours sometimes that it's cycling through, but
within the hour. It's funny that you mentioned that though, because like you said, you keep referring to this as the community, and it really is. But there's been several times that, the 3 of us talk a lot. We have a messenger that has been going on for years. But every once in a while, we'll each notice that the other is having a rough day, and just let's get on the phone and call and talk. Say, hey, I can tell you're having a rough day. Let's just talk this through because, community-wise, family-wise, friendship-wise, we're here to help each other. And it's not always just about photographic education. It's about strength within as well. And, keeping us all being positive and working to a positive goal, I guess. So that's been very, very beneficial as far as this podcast is concerned for me.
Well, and I think you're supplying that for other people as well. It's something for them to tune into. But I would encourage everyone who's listening, if you can create a group, if you can, get on the loop on PPAs or however you want to find people, like just creating a small group of photographers who are also entrepreneurs who have similar goals, who can just be there with you, to walk through this. They say that you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I'm not sure, is that a good thing for you, Michael and Dan? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I got to find new friends.
That's right. Wow.
They're like, I don't know about
interesting.
this.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, Caro brings up a good point because this group started with print competition. Like, hey, would you take a look at these images? Maybe help title suggestion or, different things like that. And then it just kind of grew into, oh, this was very helpful. So, hey, what do you think of this pricing structure? What do you think of this? And then now it's like, jumping on. It's like, I'm having a rough day, or what do you think of this? Like, sarcastic comebacks, things that kind of ease the pressure, and it's things that, you can tell your wife or whatever, but it's not the same. Like, they're not kind of, and so many entrepreneurs or so many photographers are in business with themselves. It's you know,
Right.
who do you kind of vent to? Who do you talk to? Who do you have the water bubbler? Well, it's not a bubble. It's not called a bubbler
Fountain.
anywhere else, but
We talked
Wisconsin.
about this.
Yes, this isn't a podcast.
What?
Yeah.
Is it a fountain or a
Wisconsin's called a
bubbler?
bubbler, but yeah, the water, you know,
Fountain.
talk. It's not even a fountain. What do you call it? The water thing. Talk.
Bubbler. Yeah.
You know, in the office when you all sit around the water thing or the coffee thing.
Water
that's what
cooler.
it
This
is.
is why you guys
Water
drink.
cooler.
Water
There you
cooler.
This is
Water
what you
cooler.
guys,
go.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Help me out here. You're leaving
This
me.
is a podcast right here. There you go.
yeah.
It's just Angela's
Thank
part
you
of it.
for
That's
letting
cool.
me be involved in your podcast today.
This is-
This is
yeah.
perfect.
We kind of joked. It's like the Seinfeld. You know, it's like, what's the topic? I don't know. Oh, water bubbler. That's your topic.
And then we press record.
Hit record,
Yeah.
and it just
And
goes.
sometimes
from
we forget. So,
there.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's
but
so
we've
good.
actually had guests. We've actually had guests now on our show that we've interviewed and have found some really, really good information. We actually found out our very first guest was Dan McClanahan. And about 3/4 way through the podcast / interview, we realized Dan gives a lot more, quality education or knowledgeable education than what we do.
He goes. He's very wisdomous, is what we figured out.
Wisdomous,
He's
yes.
very
Wisdomous.
very wise for his age.
Yeah.
I love that.
But that's
And
okay.
he actually gave
you know.
me this jacket. I mean,
There you go. It was the same size. So
yeah.
Did you
yeah.
borrow that, Dan? Is that what you're saying?
I ripped it off of him when I wrestled up to the ground. You know, he's wiry, but you know,
He's very
he's
wiry.
a wrestler.
yeah.
That's fantastic. So you guys met through. I love that you met through print competition. I didn't realize that. Have you guys been competing for long? How long have you guys been entering print comp? It's not print comp.
thousands.
That just showed me how old I am. It's photographic
Yeah.
competition.
Oh, we still
There
call
you
it print
go.
comp.
Oh
That's
yeah,
okay.
we
It's going
call
to change
it
again anyhow.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Oh, wow.
It's since 93, 92, 93. I don't
I
know.
wish I
Somewhere in
didn't
there.
ask you how old you were.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been more than 2 years.
I think
It's
my
been a lot
first
of
entry
years.
was 2004 or 2005, maybe.
It's been a lot of years.
That
That many
many.
years.
That
Yeah.
many.
That
You're
many
Yeah.
pretty
years.
clanky.
So,
It's clunky.
so I'll just throw this in there because for those of you guys who are interested, we've got a couple of Imaging USA speakers on with us today. Carl's
Yeah.
actually going to be teaching a class on print photographic competition
Mhm.
as a pre-con, right, Carl?
I am. Myself and Jessica Vogel will be going through the ins and outs from all of what you really are looking for in a print competition image as compared to everyday work, as well as just going through the steps of entering and all the rules. It's just like any other athletic activity. If you don't know the rules, you're not going to be very, very good at the game. So we're going to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb and then go through imagery and what the judges are looking for, what they're seeing, what interests people that are sitting on that panel that are putting that thumbs up or thumbs down on your images. We're going to discuss all that and put it through the paces. It's going to be great.
I know everyone loves this class every year, so it's gonna be great. Dan, what are you teaching? What are you doing?
I am going to talk how to survive the senior business in the pandemic world. So,
Something we're familiar with.
yeah, something that's pretty relative. You know,
Yeah.
I think I was able to change the title to that. If not, it's.
It is. We changed it.
We got to change. Yeah, okay.
I'm in charge of that.
Okay, that's what I
Atta
thought.
girl. We're
I'm like,
talking to the
can we-
right people.
Yeah, can we change it? Because, you know, like Michael said, the word of the year is pivot. So sharing some of the things I've done to pivot with the senior business and to do things differently. The senior market is always changing. And so how you can kind of stop the scroll, use Instagram and wow images to get people to contact you and book with you and get them excited to do senior sessions with you, as well as have the parents who still value portraits order portraits, because we can take pretty pictures all we want, but if we're not making some sort of income, we're not going to be around very long either. So that balance is what I feel I'm pretty strong at. I work hard at that because it is important. It's also a very stressful point, as well. And I think a lot of people, that's where the stress came in, not having maybe a backup plan, like if anything like this happened, not having prepared for something like this and getting through the lean times or making enough so that you can survive. And like I said, being in Wisconsin, I kind of always had to do that. So really the shutdown for me, it's like when you kind of look around, like you realize, oh, I'm pretty much quarantined
all the time.
all the time these 2 months. Like this is really typical.
But that was kind of my question. I feel like we're learning a lot of stuff right now. I think people are learning how they best work. Like that's a good thing. But they're also learning what the world needs in this moment. We're taking a minute to look out and say, what does the world need? And then we're developing these new systems of doing business that are acclimated to the world that we're living in. But I feel like a lot of the stuff I've been hearing from people, it's actually, it's kind of stuff we should have been doing all along, right? And so it's refreshing in some ways to look at it that way. And so, yeah, so Dan, when you say that, I'm like, yeah, like that makes sense. Like run your business so that you're profitable and sustainable. You're used to a cyclical business, so you're set up that way. And then finding new ways to connect with your customers. That's really, that's really what we're learning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one thing that I hope most people took some of this extra time that we've had to do is to really analyze all your processes and every aspect of your business and streamline, refine, streamline, pivot where needed. And I'm hoping that everybody has done that and will come out of this leaner, more, I want to say more aggressive, but you know what I mean?
More net profitable.
Yeah. And, just more adaptive to what's going on.
Well, it's funny that this is really all the different topics that we've done in our podcast. I mean, we discuss all these different things because it's our life right now. And so everything we discuss is relative in a world of our industry as we live it at the moment. So I find it's kind of funny that we're going through the same questions that we always talk about, but
true.
It's just what we have to talk about right now, I guess. So
yeah. Well, and it's business, but it's business. It's just good business. Do you know what I mean? And you guys have done this long enough that you're just teaching and sharing good business instincts. So we're going to put in the comments your podcast so that people can find you, because I think that would just be another fantastic resource for them to have some time with you guys.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
As we're kind of wrapping things up here, is there any advice, thoughts, bits of wisdom you want to share with our audience as we're getting through things and hopefully coming out of this and how you guys plan to be stronger, wiser, better, faster?
Well, when you're making a mojito, it's best if you slap the mint that releases the oils instead of just crushing it and muddling it. So
that's good advice.
Oh, you meant photography advice? Oh, okay. Let me come back to you on that then.
We'll come back to the mojito thing. Yeah. No, I think you already hit on it. Michael hit on it. Is just we have to analyze what we're doing, and it's hard as a creative because we're in creative mode most of the time, and it's different parts of your brain that are working from creative to numbers and statistics and everything else. But logically, it's amazing how I look back now, and we've streamlined a lot over the last several months because we've had to. And I look back even 9-10 months ago, and I'm going, holy cow, where did all the money go? Because I was making so much more, and I'm still keeping the same amount right now. So I'm going, man, I was wasting on this and this and this where I could have been more streamlined. But we really need to take a good logical look at ourselves and our business and run it like a business so that we can be around to be creative, because without, like you said, Michael, if you're not making money, eventually you got to get another job and you're not going to be here doing this anymore. So one has to relate to the other.
Yes.
And then there was silence.
Yes.
I agree with all that.
Mic
Michael's
drop.
like, what?
No, don't drop the mic.
Yeah.
We learned that in Michael's podcast that the mics are expensive. So don't
Yeah.
drop the mic.
Don't drop the mic.
Don't drop the mic. Yeah, and I would
Drop the
just
mic.
add to that, like education. I mean, PPA is a fabulous resource, and the connections you make, like we have made here, and other people, throughout the convention. That is one thing I'm really going to miss, and a lot of people are going to miss. Doing things virtual, I know we have to do that, but it's the seeing people face to face and walking through the trade show and hugging people and talking to them about not just business but personal life and stuff as well. But yeah, connect yourself with people that inspire you, that can push you creatively, that can help you in the business sense. Sometimes it's just talking things through that really help you see clarity, or something's right in front of your face, but you don't see it because you're too close to it. So someone from the outside would be like, oh, well, do this. And it's like, oh, yeah. When I started over in the photography industry, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to get sessions and this and that. And someone's like, why don't you teach? I'm like, really? It's like, do a workshop, do this, do that. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I could, so, and every day it's like talking with these guys, like, do this, or how about that? And it's like, can really help you a lot between education or someone to mentor you. That money is a great investment, in my opinion.
Awesome. Michael, do you have anything you want to help wrap up with?
I was just going to tag into what Dan was saying, and one of the big benefits that we've seen, we're great friends and we talk all the time. And Carl has mentioned we've got a Facebook Messenger that we use every day, and it started with talking about print competition ideas and what do you guys think of that. But what ended up happening is not only did it bind us tighter in our friendship, but I think it's iron sharpens iron. We're using each other as sounding boards, and I think that's really important for especially independent photographers like most of us. We work on our own, we're stuck by ourselves, we don't have coworkers. So find that group of like-minded people, or people that will push you to take that next step, and use them as sounding boards. We bounce ideas off of each other all the time. And sometimes we get support and sometimes we get pushback, and that's great, because it's great to have that other point of view. So it makes a big difference.
I feel like the big message of this conversation today is all about community, and just how coming together as a community and supporting one another, and looking outside of yourself, and finding those people to connect with is really, really vital for you guys. So thank you so much. I am excited I've seen your podcast. I'm excited for everybody else to see your podcast. We'll make sure that goes in the comments. And I just, again, want to thank you guys for spending the time with me to share a little bit today.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thanks, Angela.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you so very much. All right, guys, we look forward to talking again.